Lyric was from Waterloo, Elizabeth from Evansdale. The cousins were spending a summer day together, but when they didn't return home from a bike ride, people responded in Black Hawk County and all across Iowa, desperate for a positive conclusion. But a decade later, and the person or people responsible for their kidnappings and murders have never been arrested. This is the last known video of Lyric Cook-Morrissey and Elizabeth Collins. Grainy surveillance camera footage showing the two girls on their bikes shortly after noon on Friday, July 13th, 2012. Their grandmother Wilma was watching them, and when the girls didn't return home, she alerted their parents and they started searching. Shortly before 3 o'clock that afternoon, they contacted Evansdale police for help, soon joined by nearby law enforcement agencies and first responders. One of those crews located the girls' bikes along a trail at nearby Myers Lake, along with Elizabeth's purse and her cell phone that had been thrown over a fence. Investigators say they found other evidence that they aren't disclosing, but one law enforcement source just recently told TV9 that from the get-go, it was obvious the girls had been abducted. Within an hour, a massive search effort began with hundreds of volunteers looking through parks, trails, fields, and more for the girls. At the same time, investigators ordered the draining of Myers Lake. But Lyric's parents said they didn't think the girls were in the lake and that they'd been taken.
They were swimming, they would have took their shoes off, things like that. There was no sign of any of that. We've never gone through anything like this. I don't know. It's hard enough just to get up and deal with the reality that your daughter is gone.
Right now we are pretty emotional, pretty sad. We're trying to remain positive.
With a massive volunteer search effort underway that first weekend, questions were raised about why an Amber Alert wasn't issued.
We have no person that was seen, and we have no vehicle that was described, so we can't issue an Amber Alert by their guidelines.
Unable to issue an Amber Alert, the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation, the FBI, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children arrived in Evansdale to help as family members began their public pleas, hoping the girls are found safe.
I want them back. I want them back now. I keep praying, but I have to have them back. But I want them alive.
When volunteer search efforts were halted, officials began asking the public for tips. Pink ribbons started appearing across the Cedar Valley, the community's effort to show their support and spread awareness.
We just stopped somebody over off the street and got one so that we could take home to our neighborhood. We live in Waterloo, so we want to spread it to Waterloo, too.
As the search neared the end of the first week, turmoil and suspicion began to build.
We know that none of the family members did this. It's very frustrating to hear people make their accusations when they don't know us personally.
Lyric's parents, Misty Cook and Dan Morrissey, stopped talking to police or taking polygraph tests. Family members say Dan felt unfairly targeted by police based on his criminal past.
They told him they have proof that he did it. They said we have evidence. Well, we all know that if that was the truth, they'd already have Dan locked up.
1 week after the girls disappeared, the search of Myers Lake was called off, and the case entered a new phase.
Investigators are confident that the two girls are not in Myers Lake. This case is now being handled as an abduction.
With the investigation now focused on an abduction, people turn their frustration and fear into a community gathering 200 strong, wearing pink in honor of Elizabeth and Lyric.
I'm out here walking for the two missing girls from Evansdale. We put this together in 24 hours.
We're just out here to support Lyric and Elizabeth, to help bring them home in any possible way we can.
It shows that, the community can pull together. We've had over 200 people walking and running trails today, and they're all wearing the pink for the girls.
And a community bracing for updates received promising news from FBI investigators.
We have some things that we can't discuss to lead us to believe that they are alive. We truly believe these girls are out there.
Fourth week, come on, Lord, where are they?
As the days turned to weeks, people held out hope, turning out for vigils, sharing flyers, and praying for the girls' safe return. Family leaning on their neighbors for support.
This community is pretty with our family and not is very with not letting the children's names get out of sight. The only thoughts that go in my head are positive thoughts. The girls will return home. Our time is not necessarily God's time, and we just need to be patient.
It's just very sad. Every day is just very sad. It's just crying out to God, just please let this be the day. Please let this be the day that they come home or that we find something.
As the summer progressed, the public remained on edge amid a flurry of reports of suspicious white vans that kept investigators busy as they looked for any leads that might break the case. And family members continued to beg for information, any information.
We know there's somebody out there that knows something, that saw something little they might not think is important, or maybe they're scared to come forward.
Summer turned to fall as life in Evansdale carried forward, while the cloud of uncertainty remained and no sign of the girls heading into the holiday season.
And to have no clue, no leads, no nothing. It's just, it's getting harder and harder. You don't need a present, we just need them. So we're just waiting.
Then, on November 13th, 2012, came a plea from Lyric and Elizabeth's parents, a letter printed in the Waterloo Cedar Falls Courier. The parents addressed the girl's abductor directly, saying, quote, "We want you to know that we are praying for you to do the right thing," asking for their safe return. But that wouldn't happen.
Today at approximately 12:45 p.m., law enforcement was notified by hunters that they had discovered 2 deceased bodies in a wooded area. The Cook and Collins family had been notified of this discovery. The bodies are being transported to the state medical examiner's office in Ankeny for positive identification.
On December 5th, nearly 5 months after the girls vanished, their remains were found at Seven Bridges Wildlife Area, about 20 miles from Evansdale, shattering the hopes of so many people.
Not the outcome anybody wanted at all. Totally shocked. Very heartbreaking, devastating.
She is celebrating with us, and we long to be with her. I mean, our hearts break. We would just desire to hold her. I can't imagine a mom and dad's love, even her brother and sisters wanting just to be with her, maybe pick on her a little bit one more time. I mean, there's sorrow here. There is grief, but there's also joy.
A week later, 1,500 people gathered at a celebration of life service for Elizabeth Collins. Lyric had a private funeral later that month. In 2013, as the community worked to create Angels Park at Myers Lake, investigators announced a new lead in the case, this one focusing on a vehicle seen in the area of Myers Lake where the girls' bikes were found.
We realized that we have 3 different people, 2 early on and then 1 just a couple of months ago that came forward with information that identified a white SUV type vehicle.
You're hoping like more information, something like more would come out in this, a vehicle description. But we're just, always waiting for the day to find out what really happened.
In August 2014, investigators said the suspect in the case was likely a member of the Cedar Valley community and used quiet coercion to abduct the girls. The FBI released a profile of characteristics of the person responsible, someone who's local and very familiar with Myers Lake where the girls disappeared, as well as Seven Bridges where their bodies were found. And in 2015, investigators said Seven Bridges might be the key to solving the case.
We want to know about anyone who is familiar with the Seven Bridges area. The person or persons responsible for this are very familiar with Seven Bridges. We just don't know who all those people are.
That plea for information led to an influx of calls to investigators, more than 100 in just a day, and renewed hope for Lyric and Elizabeth's families, who described the year since their disappearance as hell.
I just really hope and pray that that one of these leads out of 100 or whatever, 150, that gives us that one piece that is missing.
But those tips didn't lead to an arrest. As the 5-year mark came and went, family held out hope that someone would have to answer for their crimes.
Every day I say my prayers, believing that God will, bring this person to justice.
Time continued on, still no news. But the case is never far from the minds of many.
It's amazing that people still care after 9 years. I get messages all the time from people, and those kind of things that keep me going.
Investigators say they see an uptick in tips each year around the anniversary and hope one leads to an arrest after a decade, hopefully answering the questions of a community and a family that have been through so much.
Yeah, obviously, we wanted answers before now, but we haven't got them, so we're just pushing forward until we get those answers. It's 10 years, yeah, but we're still here. And, you know, if anything, we're gaining in strength. We're not going anywhere. We're going to keep working this case till we find out who did this, and we're going to bring them to justice.
Justice, something that continues to elude the families of Lyric Cook-Morrissey and Elizabeth Collins, but they aren't giving up hope. Tomorrow on the KCRG TV9 News at 6, Nicole Agee sits down with Elizabeth's mother, Heather, who hopes time will help lead to an arrest in the case. In the studio, Beth Malicki, KCRG TV9 News.